y'all, what's up? We are back. Thumbs up the video if you are new. And if you're not new, still thumbs up. Drop a comment down below, subscribe if you are new. And yeah, today we are talking about the U.S. trials for track and field, day 1 through 3, the events that I want to talk about, which is the sprint events. That's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to cover today. We're going to talk about what's happened so far, who's made what team, and kind of preview what's going to happen tonight in the sprint events. We got the 110 hurdles, the first round. We got the 400 final for the men. We got the 800 final for the women. Lots of crazy stuff going on. It's been a couple upsets. It's been some good stories so far. Loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it. And yeah, we're kind of wrapping up the first round of trials. We got the next round after tonight. It'll be starting Thursday, and I'll look to have the video out by Sunday, if not Sunday. Well, no, it's probably going to be on Monday because Sunday night, that's going to be a tough one because we got the women's hurdles, the 100 hurdles. Alicia Johnson, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. But yeah, enough of that. Let's go. Okay, so I want to talk about first, which was really, yeah, we're going to talk about the top events, the marquee events, which is the 100. The 100 for the men and the women. We're going to start with the 100 for the women. Coming into we're going to skip over. We're going to talk about the semifinals. Semifinals, coming into the semifinals, we had a top 5, which was my top 5 for who I was choosing to make the team. Coming into the semifinals, Sha'Carri Richardson had the fastest qualifying time, 10:88. Big Q, she had 0.3 win, so not really much win was helping her. It was a legal time. Melissa Jefferson, 10:91. She is the 2022 U.S. champion. And since 2022, we haven't really seen Melissa in that same type of form until like probably a couple weeks ago. Like a couple weeks ago. But she really turned up and turned out. 10:91 for her prelim going into the semifinals. She ran into a .9 tailwind, so she didn't really have a headwind either. So it was legal time too, so that was good for her too. Mackenzie Long, I love Mackenzie Long. Mackenzie Long, Triple Crown winner at the NCAA's, 100, 200, and 4x1 champion. She lost her mother earlier this year. She's really, really been fighting and digging hard to make these performances matter for her. And she's doing it for her mom too. So I was really, really rooting for Mackenzie. I wanted Mackenzie. I feel like out of the 3, I'm going to tell you after this. But Mackenzie, she put up a good time in her prelim. 10:94, legal win as well. .4, not much wind. And yeah, she won that heat. Aaliyah Hobbs was right behind her in the same heat, 10:97, same win, .4. And then Tamari Davis, I believe, was in the same heat with Sha'Carri. I want to say, if I can remember correctly, but she might not have been. But no, she was 11:01 because yeah, her and Sha'Carri was running. Did y'all notice that they was in the same heat for the heat, for the semifinals, and obviously the finals? But that was the top 5 for me going into this. I knew it was going to be, the team was going to be consisted of the 5 of them. That was what I was thinking. I love me some TeeTee Terry, but I was not expecting it because we know that she's been dealing with an injury, and I didn't know how severe it was. But she hasn't, like she said, she hadn't run under 11 seconds all season. So I wasn't really, I don't want to say I was counting her out, but I was not expecting her to eventually do what she did. But I'm very happy about it. But we'll move to the finals. Well, actually, let's talk about the semifinals because we lost one of the top 5, which was Mackenzie. Mackenzie had a semifinal where when we were looking at the semifinal, I was immediately thinking that she was going to win this. Like, this was it. Because out of the semifinals, I feel like she had the easiest semi. Sha'Carri, in her semi heat, she had her, Tamari, Jennifer Andini, Solera Barnes. Javian Oliver was running good in her first heat too, but she wasn't really a factor if you ask me. But Sha'Carri, Tamari, that was a shoo-in. We knew they was going to be the top 2 to go through. In the next heat, we had Mackenzie Long's heat, which we'll talk about that. But the last heat was the hardest heat, which was Melissa Jefferson, Aaliyah Hobbs, TeeTee Terry, Jaden Mays, Micaiah Briscoe. Like, that's a bunch of big, big names. So that was the heaviest heat for me, in my opinion, to make. So Mackenzie's heat, it was just really Mackenzie, Morlake Kennison, and Deja DeFran. So those was really the only 3, but I thought she was the shoe-in. And Tamara Clark, too, I forget her. And Candace Hill. But I wasn't really expecting them girls to really, like, beat Mackenzie. Mackenzie got a terrible start. Like, she did not hear the gun. You can tell she did not hear the gun at all because, like, everybody else was gone. They reacted quick. She was, like, left in the blocks. And I hated it for her. I hate it. because I just knew she could make this 100 team. She's a 200-meter specialist. 200 is better for her, but the way she's been running the 100, it just looked like she could possibly literally make the team because so far this year, no professional woman has really been doing anything like that consistently besides Sha'Carri. But then again, that's the training cycle. Like with pros, they peak, they train to peak at this moment. College kids, they train to peak at NCAA. So I was thinking Mackenzie was still in good form. And I feel like she still is in good form. She just had a bad race. And unfortunately, she finished fourth with 11:15 as the time. It was just not strong enough to move her on to the finals. But we get to the finals. The finals was this was a nice final for a women's 100. I don't think I was coming into this expecting a lot of sub tens, and I didn't expect the caliber to be as hot as it was. But coming into this, my top three was Sha'Carri, Melissa, and TeeTee. Considering the lane assignments, they were right next to each other in 5, 6, and 7. So I'm like, Aaliyah Hobbs, I was thinking Aaliyah Hobbs could pull together something if she was actually where the noise was, aka where the race was, which was in the middle with Sha'Carri, Melissa, and Tamari. But she had, I think, Tamara Clark in between her and Melissa, and TeeTee was on the other side of Aaliyah, which was in 2. So she far away from the noise. Like anybody that run track, you want to be where the noise is, essentially, especially when it comes to like a 100 or a 200. You want to be where the noise is because you can pull each other to the end, and that's what I was thinking. They're gonna pull each other to the end. But Sha'Carri got a decent start because her first 2 rounds, her starts were not great. She got a decent enough start to where she could at least be right there with them. Because I was thinking the way Melissa was running in the semifinal in the prelim, I was like, if Sha'Carri get a shitty ass start, the way Melissa was running, I'm like, Melissa might run away with this. I knew Sha'Carri was gonna make the team, but I'm like, she might come second if Melissa continues to run the way she does, and she has such a shitty start. But no, Sha'Carri, that's what she did. Because when she got the 80, that top end, you can't fuck with that top end. Like she was bankhead bouncing down that track. Like form is literally her form is so perfect. Like she is a textbook sprinter. Like nothing trailing behind her, high knees, arms pumping, like perfection, poor perfection. But Melissa Jefferson as well, like she is tough. Like she ran a personal best 1080. Melissa's in 2022 form. And TeeTee, I was watching Tamari coming at like 80. I was watching Tamari to see who, because I knew by 80 it was Sha'Carri and Melissa the top two. So I'm like, who is going to finish? Tamari looked like she was about to get there because she was in third coming in like 90. You look out wide, TeeTee is running for her life. Aaliyah was too, but TeeTee was running for her life. And I feel like Tamari kind of leaned at like 95 meters too early because TeeTee was running through that line. TeeTee ran through that line and claimed it. Season's best. Her first time under 11 this year, 1089. I believe her PB is like 1082, so she's right in form. TeeTee is right in form coming off that thigh injury. This is such a tough team. And this is a good team too because the three of them trained together. Dennis Mitchell got a camp, okay? And that's making me look at Tania Marshall for later on in the trials. She might be a shoe-in to for sure get in. Because them hurdles, you cannot, with the hurdles, you cannot pick somebody because anybody that you pick could still not make the team because that's how deep the women's hurdles is in America, which sucks because we can only take 3. But TeeTee, Melissa, Sha'Carri, that is our top 3 heading to Paris for the 100. From the relay pool, we already know Tamari Davis, Aaliyah Hobbs. Tamara Clark is also an option, top 6 typically is a relay pool, but I feel like they're going to bring Aaliyah and Tamari for sure. But in terms of the 4x1, Sha'Carri's obviously going to be there. Melissa's obviously going to be there. TeeTee's obviously going to be there. The way she ran down on that second leg up against Sha'Carri last year at Worlds, and then the way she anchored home with against Sharika in 2022, TeeTee locked her spot on the relay. Sha'Carri, you're not going to not have her anchoring. And Melissa's a strong, she on first leg, she always runs well. But Tamari does too. I feel like Tamari kind of stamped herself as like the first leg for any 4x1. But we'll see what happens. We got a strong team. All the women delivered. It's sad because the top 6 were all under 11 seconds. Candace Hill was 7th, 11 flat. Like these women was running, they was running, and they was running. But enough about the sprints. We gonna move on to well, no, not enough. We're gonna talk about the men. The men coming into this, and this one was wide open if you ask me, because I feel like I was looking at Noah, Christian, Kenny, and Courtney Lindsay as my top four coming in. Because Fred, we still ain't really seen what Fred was doing because back in New York Grand Prix, he false started. So that was his first 100, I believe, for the season, if I remember. If anything, I think he might have ran 100 back in like March. But this was his first chance to do it, and we get to see him run. So I'm like, where's Fred at? I'm like, let's see what Fred is going to do. So in the first round, he ran 10:03 behind Courtney Lindsay, who ran 10:0 flat. Negative. Nope, he wasn't in the same heat as him. I'm sorry. Courtney's 10:0 was flat into a .1 negative, so he ran that into a slight headwind. Fred ran 10:03. No, he won his heat. I remember he was in the same heat with PJ Austin. So yeah, Fred won his heat 10:03 with .6 tailwind. Kenny was looking like the best for me coming into prelims and semifinals because he was in the same heat with Noah when Noah ran 992, even though Noah didn't look like he was really straining after like 80 to actually get to the line. He looked like he was pulling up a little bit, but Kenny was smooth running. Like Kenny didn't look like he was really putting any effort in and ran 10 flat. I was like, okay. Christian ran 999. PJ Austin 10:06, Courtney Lindsay 10 flat. So that was my picks going in. I was wanting to see Cravon Charleston, one of my alumni. Like we went to the same high school. I was rooting for him. He's was the reigning U.S. champion, but he has not opened his season all year either. And he opened it, and it looks like he might still be nursing an injury, which sucks. But whatever. We move to the semifinals. Kyrie King also looked good too, and I want to mention him too because he's also in that training group with Dennis Mitchell's group, which he had Kenny, Courtney, and Kyrie. He got 3 100-meter for the men and 3 for the women, and they all was looking good. But going into the semifinals, which was last night, I really got to mention this because that's the part that killed me for Kyrie. It killed me for him, but I'm about to tell y'all. So going into the semifinals, Noah and Kenny were in the same heat again. Noah was running 980, like running. And they had a 3.0 win, so it's not legal. They was being pushed by a tailwind. Kenny was running, but Kenny really looked like he still had more in the tank, and he was right there with Noah, who was running full stride. So I was like, okay, Kenny might end up winning. That was my thought process. Christian looked good, 996. That was the season's best for him. His was legal. His heat was the only legal heat. Courtney Lindsay boomed out 988, 2.6 win with Fred in the same heat, 989. So they was right there together. Wasn't shocking to see those two together. And then, like I said, Kyrie King was in Christian Coleman's heat, and he ran 997, 1.5 win, and he was like he got nicked on the line for second because Kendall Williams was it Kendall Williams? Might have been who was in that heat with him. Somebody was in that heat. Brandon Hicklin, 995. You see how close? 100. What is that? 100 to the second off. He got nicked on the line, and it sucks because the ones that got into the final, JT Smith, Christian Miller, the high schooler, they had illegal times, like wind aided times, like 3.0 win and 2.6 win to Kyrie's 1.5. So if you do the win calculator, those wins with legal win is like maybe 9-9, 10 flat. So Kyrie should have been in there, which sucks because they don't play those type of rules. So sucks for him because I feel like even though I don't think he would have made the team, I feel like he would at least finish top six. And he would have been a good one because he was on that world championship, not world championship. He was on that world relay team that got USA qualified to go to the Olympics. So that sucked. But we got to the final. I didn't know who was going to be the top three. I knew Noah was going to be in there. I knew Kenny was going to be in there. But it was a battle to me between Christian, Courtney, and Fred for the third spot. And it was like, who going to put their best foot forward? Christian, God, this broke my heart. Broke my heart because he never makes an Olympic team. He made the Olympic relay team, but he's never made the individual team for the Olympic 100. And he got out like we always see him do, but he got caught coming home. Courtney Lindsay got out hard and almost stumbled. So I feel like that threw his pattern off. He finished 6, 10:02. Christian Miller, the high schooler, he was booming out there, 998. But Christian finished fourth, 993, to Fred getting on that line, 988. Fred Kerley said, "What's up? I'm back." He been talking on Twitter saying that he gonna break the world record. Fred looked like he back in form, so that's good. Kenny, 987. That's a PB for him, but he looked pissed when he lost that race. You can tell he really wanted to win. I feel like Kenny's gonna put it together when it comes to Paris. He might be topping that podium if you ask me. And then Noah Lyles, 983. Personal best for him as well. He equaled his personal best. So that's our team. Top six, obviously Courtney, Christian, and Christian Miller and Christian Coleman. They are essentially the relay pool, but we'll see when it comes to politics and whatever. But I feel like Courtney should be brought to Paris on the relay team, and Christian, obviously. I feel like Kyrie honestly should be considered. But we'll move to the women's 400 final. We're just gonna get to the final. This one was wide open too. These women was running like 400s for America for the women have not been in its top form here recently, but like these girls came out here today or yesterday and shut it down. Like everybody in the final ran under 51 seconds, so that's good because I feel like last trials, not everybody was under 51. But Shamir Little, I love Shamir. But she ended up finishing last. 50.96 was her time. But Shamir got to run the hurdles later on this week. I think they start Thursday. That's her bread and butter. That's what she was focusing on. She said that she came out here to run the 400 just because she was bored and she wanted to like get a race in. And she wasn't planning on running the semis or the finals. She planned on scratching after the prelim because the way she ran that prelim, Shamir was looking like she was ready to make this team for real. But she said that she was going to scratch. But then her coach ended up saying like, "Nah, let's take it all the way." And she's like, "Okay, let's go." It is what it is. But Shamir, like, I'm not tripping about her not making the team because I feel like she's gonna make the 400 hurdles team. Jamisha Ford from South Carolina, she finished eighth. Lena Irby Jackson, I hate that for her because she was looking good through both rounds, but unfortunately she couldn't put it together again. Quinera Hayes fifth, 50-55. Kaylin Brown, another Mallard Creek girl, Charlotte girl, from Arkansas, the Arkansas sweep. I know y'all saw that on the 400 for NCAA's when all four Arkansas girls went 1, 2, 3, 4. She was number one, if I remember correctly. She was running good too, but she got tied up at the end. 50:07 was her finishing time. But Alexis Holmes, I was so happy for her because first round she looked good. Second round she was struggling to get through that semifinal. I feel like she was just not pulling it all the way out, but she got enough to where her qualifying time got her through, but it was a PB too, so it's not bad. You can't be mad at that. Even if she lost and didn't get into the final, I don't think she would have been too upset, even though she probably would because this is a big deal. Like the Olympics, you want to make the team. But for her to turn around and PB again, 49.7, she was wanting to get her sub 50 because she had 50, I want to say 50.18 in the semis. And then she turned around and PB'd here and got under 50 seconds. Happy for her. She's beautiful too. But Aaliyah Butler from Georgia, college girl, she got their second PB for her. Kendall Ellis, PB 49.46. She PB'd in round two of the semifinals. Kendall has been, if you've been watching college track, you know her iconic 4x4, that leg where she came back. I think USC was like in fifth when she got the baton, and she hawked it down. Like, I think she won that race. If I remember correctly, like the last 20 meters, she came back and won that race. Ran a hell of a split. But Kendall has not found her form since probably a couple years ago. She made teams, but she just was not the Kendall Ellis that we saw back in college. She is here. She is here, and I'm so happy for her. I hope like the way she's running, she looks like she could be a threat for the podium. She really does. Running consistent sub 50s, that's good. Like, that's good. And I feel like we got a strong team heading to Paris for the 400 too. Like, that's good. That's really good. We're going to talk about the men's 400. I want to talk about them, but we're really going to talk about them. I'm probably going to get on here tomorrow and talk about them. But Quincy Hall, we're just going to talk about who's in the semifinals. We're going to the finals. Quincy Hall's in the finals. Bryce Demons in the finals. Vernon Norwood's in the finals. I feel like Vernon is a shoe-in to make the team. Quincy Hall, the way he's running, I feel like he's a shoe-in to make the team. Justin Robinson's in the final. Matthew Bolin's in the final. Chris Bailey is in the final. But the one who I hope takes a third spot, Quincy Wilson, the 16-year-old who is breaking under 18 world records and PBing every time he step on that track. That kid is special. He lights up like when you just see him and the way he just stands there and smiles. He lights up the room. The way he get out there and runs his ass off like he is a little prodigy. Ran 44:59 at 16 years old. The fourth fastest time going into the final. Like, are you crazy? I really hope he breaks it up. Bryce Deadman, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to be my casualty. I want Quincy on that team, but regardless, he has nothing to lose. 16 years old, you coming out here breaking records, PBing up against professionals, like this is crazy. That's gonna be a good race to watch tonight. But I think did I talk about everything I wanted to talk about? Talked about the men's 100, talked about the women's, talked about the forwards, talked about the fours. I think Ma opened her season in the 800 at trials. She's looking good. She looked good in the semis. Michaela Rose, I can't wait to see them two up against each other for real, for real. They was in the same heat, but Michaela kind of gave it back on that last, what? That last backstretch, it might have been the last 90. I think Mo was hunting her like prey. And it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. But I think, yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. So tonight we got the men's 110 hurdles. Rooting for Daniel Roberts. That's my boy. I really want him to win, but he probably ain't gonna win. We got Grant Holloway in there. I like Grant Holloway too. Jacoby Tharp, I feel like he's gonna be one to watch. Darius Love, the current NCAA champion, he's one to watch. Trey Cunningham, Freddie Crittenton, Michael Dixon, don't count him out. That's Lele's training partner. Don't count him out. Jamal Britt. Yeah, we got some hurdlers tonight. We got that, and then we got the 400 final tonight, and we got the 800 final tonight. So yeah, that's what we got. If y'all made it all the way through, thank you. Thumbs up the video, drop a comment, share it, because I'm gonna try and be on here a lot more about my track coverage. This is my favorite sport. Love it to death. But yeah, I want to cover it as much as I can, and I'm probably gonna do a video tonight, maybe tomorrow. But yeah, I will see y'all then. Peace.